So you got your metal building installed, you got your concrete done. The most important part next is going to be choosing the right type of insulation. You probably haven't even thought about it yet, but insulation is a pivotal part in any metal building project. Choosing the right type so that you have low energy costs and your building is going to withstand the test of time is all about choosing the right insulation. In this video today, we're going to talk about the 5 different types of your metal building insulation. The first type of insulation we're going to talk about today is not really even a type of insulation, it's more of just what we call a moisture barrier. There's not much of an R value to it, but it really acts as a nice shield in between the sheeting and the framing of your metal building. And what you can do with the moisture barrier is you can actually do another type of insulation on top of it. So it's kind of a first act for your metal building would be the moisture barrier. If you're just using moisture barrier, what the positives of that is it's going to keep your building from sweating. Sweating in a metal building is inevitable. Every single metal building in the United States sweats. And what that happens is when the outside of your metal building is really hot, but the inside is cold from the night, condensation tends to appear, and what it does is it starts dripping. Some people will think your building's leaking or something, but what ends up happening is it's just sweating. So the moisture barrier does a great job preventing that sweating and condensation from happening, thus equating to a longer lasting metal building. Another awesome type of insulation for a metal building is going to be what we call a fiberglass batt insulation. Good thing about fiberglass batt insulation is a lot of people know how to do it. Also, it provides a really high R value in colder areas and in warmer areas to keep your energy costs down. The one thing I would say about fiberglass insulation that's probably not the best is if you know somebody that doesn't know how to do it very well or isn't the best at installing that fiberglass insulation, what can happen is there's air gaps that can happen inside, which doesn't necessarily 100% seal your building from, say, water, cold air, hot air, or anything of that nature. So something to think about with the fiberglass insulation, make sure you get it done right. One type of insulation I don't know the most about is going to be called a rigid foam board insulation. I know that it provides a radiant barrier on top of a R value, and then it also has a polyurethane back. So it's probably going to be good for, in any purposes if it ever did get wet. Also, the radiant barrier is going to be great for keeping out that heat, keeping out that cold weather. But I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that it provides a decent R value, not the greatest, but not the worst. One thing I would say about foam board is it seems a little bit more labor intensive because you do have to cut it to the actual size of each individual area. So say your board comes in a 4x8 sheet and your building is built on a 3 or a 4 or a 5 foot on center, you would actually have to cut each one of those to the size of the wall. And for me, that could provide quite a bit of waste, and it is quite expensive. So don't know a whole lot. Comment below if you know more about the radiant foam board. I'd love to hear more about it and would be open to looking into ideas. So as you guys can see behind me, I chose closed cell spray foam. There also is open cell spray foam. I'll tell you the reason that I chose closed cell spray foam. It adds really high structural integrity to this building. You get about a 25% increase in strength of your metal building by choosing spray foam. It's also going to be done, this whole entire building is 4,200 square feet, 16 foot tall. We had this whole entire building spray foamed in 2 days. So I would say that it's very quickly done, and then it also seals the whole entire building with a very high R value for what it is. So 2 inches thick of spray foam is gonna be anywhere between an R15 and R19, and that's a very high R rating for that type of spray foam. I would say the 1 or 2 negative things about spray foam is first, it's very high cost. On a building like this, you're looking at anywhere between $2 to $4 a square foot to spray the actual foam. And then spray foam is not the best visually appealing product. Whenever it gets sprayed on, it usually is all yellow and it can be quite ugly. So what we did on our metal building was we actually had the team spray the whole entire building black. And what that did is it just made it look nicer. So whether you guys are wanting to use spray foam foam board, or fiberglass insulation, even a moisture barrier. The biggest takeaway I get from insulation is you gotta get it done right. Make sure it's sealed properly, make sure it's going to last the test of time. The last thing you wanna do is have an awesome building with a bad insulation job. It's gonna cost you a lot of money down the long run in energy costs, and also make it not as comfortable to hang out in. And that's what metal buildings are all about, is being in here, working, having fun with your family, with your friends. This is Tony here with BigBuildingsDirect.com, here to give you the information you need so that you can get the insulation of your dreams.